Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of the Voron 2 series. As promised, today we will finally install the Galileo Extruder. If you don't know, it's a planetary gear system extruder that was designed by Jared. It fits the stock afterburner hot end tool head carriage system, and yeah, it just replaces the stock clockwork extruder that we have. Theoretically, this can get faster prints, so that's basically the main benefit. Also, we will switch to Badnoob's fan design, which replaces the layer fan, which is a 40-20 fan normally, with a 50-15 fan, which provides better airflow. I don't really need that, to be honest, but because I usually print with ABS, and ABS doesn't like part cooling that much anyway. But it would be a nice addition in my opinion still, and yeah, that will improve the capabilities of the afterburner. And yeah, maybe I will print with, I don't know, PLA or whatever in the future if I need to. So yeah, without further ado, let's just take a look at what we have. So here is the main event. You can see that the 50-15 fan mount looks a little different. So the fan will go in here. The fan already arrived in the country. I ordered from China, it's in the country. It should be here in a few days, and well, it will be in this episode for sure. And on the back you can see the Galileo Extruder. I'll put a screenshot of the planetary gear system on the screen right now, and yeah, you can see that it's driven by a Mk1 motor here. It's a custom LDO motor designed for this extruder and the orbiter, which Galileo is based on, and it uses 8mm Bondtech gears. So if we take a look inside, once I'm done unscrewing this screw, there we go. You can now take a look inside. Yeah, here we can see the 8mm Bondtechs. They're much larger than the stock ones. Not sure if that translates to any benefit at all, but yeah, that's just something that's different. The planetary gearbox gears and the shaft of it is printed in multijet fusion MJF. I got the motor and the MJFs from the group buy that was done on the Voron Discord, so definitely check out the Discord if you're not on there, so that you don't miss these group buys and things like that. And yeah, I boxed them a few months ago, I think. At this point they arrived with my Voron Zero parts, and I'm just getting around to actually doing this. So yeah, without actually one more thing, and this is the modified, again, Badnoob's design for the cooling of the Dragon. So Dragon will mount here, and it uses the same fan. It's just a bit larger, and it also has this weird air channel, I guess. I don't think that counts as a duct, but it's some sort of a channel. And yeah, again, this theoretically cools the Dragon better. Not sure if it will translate into any benefit again, but yeah, it's, I think, nice to have, and it's something that I wanted to try for some time. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's just get to installing this, and I'll come back to you with this on the Voron 2. Switch to Badnoob's new layer fan design and the Galileo extruder at the same time. So you can see the Galileo in there, and in the front with the rounded design on the top. That's the 50-15 mat by 50-15 mod mat, whatever mat is. 50-15 mod by Badnoob. The Timelapse you saw, that was the new version of this printing. The one that I already showed you, it's also perfectly fine, I guess, but this is the new revision. So he fixed a few things, like the way the fan actually mounts in there is much better now, for example. And yeah, I guess that's all I did. And with the Mk1 motor in here, the mounting of the PCB is a little different from before, and also because of the limited height, I had to do a ghetto mode for the heater of the hot end, but other than that it works fine. Also, you'll notice the wires are exposed. That's because there is no good cable cover for the Galileo extruder, at least not yet, but I may even design one at some point, but that's just getting ahead of ourselves. Right now I have two test prints. I'll show these better later. Don't worry about the lighting right now. This one of them is a bench, the other one's a test cube. So I'll do some tuning with this setup, and then I'll try to I'll print the same parts, the same G code for those with the new extruder and the new cooling, and yeah, we'll try to spot some differences. I don't expect much to change, to be honest, but it's still a nice test. To be fair, I'm not talking about the Badnoob's design. That will probably change things for PLA or anything like that. It just doesn't matter for ABS. And as for the extruder, well, theoretically the Galileo has some advantages, but yeah, I doubt we will see them on the prints, as I already print pretty well, except this line apparently. I don't know what caused that, but other than that, I print pretty well, so yeah. Anyway, I'll get to tuning this and I'll come back to you with the prints. Apparently the little hot end on my 3D printer has a nuclear reactor in it or something, or probably not even that. Probably it's on the sun. I did some tuning and also finally printed a few test parts. So these two are from the new Galileo extruder, and these two are the test parts I printed before. As I expected, there really isn't much difference. As I said, I was getting pretty decent prints with the clockwork anyway. So other than the ghosting issues, which I'll come to later, you know, the prints were pretty nice, and you can see that the benchy was pretty nice as well, except this line, but this wasn't a thing that usually happened. This is specific to this print. Don't know why it happened, but yeah, it's not something that normally happens, so ignore that. But you can see that the rest of the print was fine, and some warping here, but again, that's due to my calibration at the time. Again, it's not related to the extruder. So yeah, I was getting pretty decent prints, and let's start with the test cube. And yeah, there really isn't much difference. I guess the edges are a little sharper on this one, but that might be due to better pressure advance tuning. I'm not sure. When I did the pressure advance tuning on this, I was new to it, so maybe I did it better. I measured the distance better, I don't know. But yeah, maybe it's difference from the extruder, I don't know. But yeah, even if it is that, you can see that the difference is fairly minor. There really isn't much difference. And again, you can see the ghosting on the new extruder as well. Again, I'll get to that. And on the benchy, again, ignoring this line, you can see that there is not much difference between them. Also ignoring this warping issue, it's printed pretty similarly. So yeah, there wasn't much difference. There isn't much difference between those two. There is a little bit of difference in terms of the bridging here. To see that better, I would need a before bridging test, and I would need a after one as well. So that's not going to be a comparison that I can make. But yeah, I think the bridging works a little better on my newer setup. But that's not the extruder, obviously. That's the new 5015 fan with Badnoob's Duct. That's improving that. But yeah, at least this wasn't a downgrade, and it looks like I did get some improvement in the bridging. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. The next step in the tuning would be addressing the resonance, so this ghosting you see. For that, There is a way of doing that without an accelerometer, but the best way of doing this is with the ADXL345 accelerometer. And as I said some time ago, that is content coming to this channel. I know it has been delayed multiple times, and this just because I had multiple obstacles, and yeah, just fixing every single problem took a ton of time. I'm not going to go into as in depth as I did in the V0 video because that was 33 minutes long, but yeah, just know that I'm still working on it. I know it's late, but the content is coming, so improvements on the V2 and the V0 will be its separate combined video, and I will also have tutorial videos about input shaper and ADXL345 once I get everything working. And yeah, that's content coming to the channel. Right now though, I can't do that because I can't get the setup to work at the moment. So the next thing in this video, what I want to do is I want to mount this 3D printed scale. The point of this is pretty obvious. You weigh your spools, and from that you can guess the remaining filament somewhat accurately, and that should that should let you plan your prints better. It's a pretty simple design. This is from Voron user's GitHub. I'll link it in the description. It's in the legacy most folder, but it's just because it's not updated. This should work just fine on the newer version as well. So yeah, again, I'll link this in the description. I'm using a 5 kilogram load cell in here. Load cells, from what I can see, go from 1 kilo to 5 kilo directly, and 1 kilo isn't enough because don't forget, you're not only weighing the filament, but you're also weighing the spool and the mount itself, plus some room to spare. So yeah, you definitely need more than that, so that's why I went with 5 kilograms. And it connects to this HX something or another board. Actually it has it on here, HX711, and from this it will run to the Raspberry Pi, and I don't think Clipper has any support for this, so I will use enclosure plugin on and Octoprint for reading the weight of whatever is on it. I think this will also need some calibration, so yeah, I'll look into that and I'll come back to you with some sort of an update, either doing something or showing the final result. Actually, I'm changing the plan. Pray I don't change it any further. The problem with this normal mount is it is pretty hard to remove the spool, etc. And the design I printed and showed, it basically locates to the same place, and well, yeah, I'm going to have problems with that. Now I could probably design something that goes up and towards this side, and that in that case it wouldn't have the problem, but honestly I think that would look pretty ugly, and yeah, I wouldn't be that happy. Plus, actually, another thing I realized is wiring from here to the Raspberry Pi in the electronics chamber. That's going to be a pain. So I came up with a different idea. Back in the Black Widow days, Tavo Black Widow, I had spools on both sides, so I had 8 spools, and they all routed up here to a bunch of Bowden tubes clipped to something, and whenever I wanted to load a filament, I just grabbed the filament and load it to the Black Widow. Now I'm not going to do exactly that, but I do have a similar idea, and that will also incorporate measuring the weight of the spools as well. So here is the current design for the spool holder system. You can see that it attaches to the top of the cabinet with just a plate like this, and from that we use threaded inserts to hold this piece, and that holds the base plate, or whatever you want to call it, in place. And that in it has 2 load cells and this circular area in the middle. The area is for holding the HX711, if I remember the part number correctly, the amplifier board for the the load cells. So yeah, to that I will just, from that I will run to the Arduino. The wires will come out of here and go through the middle, and actually want to show some difference. I didn't edit this because I wasn't sure if it would work out or not, so I exported it and did it here. So it will route through the cable holes here. The main difference between this and this one, other than the cable routing area in the middle, this is 200 millimeters tall versus this thing being 250 millimeters tall. 250 in theory, that was at the time, it would be better because it would let me hold larger spools like 2 kilo, 2.5 kilo, something like that. You know, the larger spools that you can find sometimes, but in reality I don't use them that often. I just use 1 kilo ESUN spools usually, and on top of that, the problem was 250 is just too tall to fit in place. I didn't measure properly, so it's a good thing I checked again, but yeah, it wouldn't have fit, so and that's the reason behind that change. So yeah, there will be 2 sets of this printed, so in total I will have 4 spool holders, and between them I will have this. So this is the 2004 LCD, so 20 characters, 4 lines, and behind that I didn't bother modeling in the actual components, but yeah, I checked them, they fit. Behind that, here we will have a Arduino Mega. I have to use the Arduino Mega because Arduino Uno doesn't have enough pinouts. And the piece behind that, this is for mostly for cable management, but also you'll see this cutouts. That's for a Velcro strap, so I will just have a 9-volt battery in there, and that will power the Arduino Mega. At least that's what I'm going to start with. I don't know if that will last enough or not. If not, I will just figure out a way of routing a power brick or something, but yeah, just to start, I think I will try to use this with a 9-volt just so I don't have as many cables. Also, there is this holder for that, again, attaches to the top of the cabinet, and we have these 2 holes on each side for threaded inserts, and yeah, it will just hold it in place with M3 screws. So that's the idea there as well. So yeah, that's kinda it for the design. So yeah, that's kinda it for the design. I started printing a decent amount of them. Unfortunately, I did have a layer shift issue when printing 2 of these, the tall versions of these. The layer shifts happened on my V2. No idea why it happened, but my current theory is it has something to do with the MGN9 rails I use, the robotic ones, not the black ones, but the steel ones that are supposedly better. But still, I didn't really have that good of a luck with them. I had to replace a few in the past, and yeah, the ones I have there, I think they're starting to fail as well. Now I re-lubricated them, they're running smooth-ish for now, but yeah, I think I'll have to replace them at some point, and if the rails are at fault, I'll replace them with LDO ones, because on my V0 I'm actually really happy with the LDO MGN7s, so I have high expectations for their MGN9s as well, and yeah, if they fail I will replace them with LDOs, but yeah, that's probably not going to be in the next episode. So yeah, also another thing I wanted to say, I started ordering parts. I only have 1 Arduino Mega at hand, and that's reserved for another project, and it's partially wired, so I don't want to destroy that. Plus I only have 2 different size 5 kilo load cells, so I had to order more as well, since I need 4. So I just ordered 4 of them, so they are the same size as well. And again, I am waiting for the delivery of those as well. So yeah, today, the day I'm recording this, is Monday, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do any more progress on this until Friday anyway. So yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. So stay tuned for the rest of this spool holder project. And yeah, again, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a like down below, and thanks for watching.